Cryptosi DAODAO, episode 9. This is our first Spaces call on Twitter. It happened and we discussed a few topics. Namely, we discussed the tokenomics of Cryptosi DAODAO. We discussed the testing and what the testing process would be. And finally, we gave a timeline for both the legal roadmap for the DAO and also for the testing and the tokenomics and the launch. And we put everything into real terms that the average person can understand, so we know exactly when things should be starting. This is Cryptosi DAODAO, episode 9. Things are really taking shape. Enjoy. And this is the first of our Twitter Spaces, which is a I've got another speaker. I'll add Peter. I'll add you as a speaker in a few moments. Just doing the introduction, and you are late. So today we're going to be discussing the Ethereum launch process for the Cryptosi DAODAO. The main topics for today are tokenomics. We're also going to discuss, let me make sure that I'm not cutting out. There we go. Right, did I just...
Yeah, sorry, actually I wasn't late. I was saying anonymous. And then I realized.
I did leave the option for people to be anonymous. Obviously, with my privacy background, I feel it's important. The issue I've got, I'm a little bit worried about, is that I cut off when my phone screen goes dark. So if that happens, you'll have to shout and let me. Right. Anyway, without any further ado, let me continue. So the topics for today's call are going to be the tokenomics of the Cryptosi DAODAO. I've got a proposal for a system of tokenomics. We'll then discuss briefly the launch test procedures. And finally, we'll talk about the legal roadmap for the DAO. And then we'll have a short discussion about timelines so that we know when we are expecting these things to happen, when we're expecting them to go live, things like that. Obviously, people can already get involved by simply joining the Cryptosi DAO. I think the link to that is in my bio. If it's not, just DM me or I don't know, reply to this space or whatever, and I will put the link there. Right, so to get started, Cryptosi DAODAO, as we know, we're going to have 100 billion of the CRDD token. It's going to be an ERC20, only available on the Ethereum network to begin with. However, we're planning to roll out across other networks in the future. So one feature I wanted to add before launch, it's multifaceted, but mainly I wanted the feature to be that if anybody or if two peers exchanged the tokens between themselves, there would be a 5% fee for doing so. So if you aim to send 100 tokens from yourself to someone else, or you aim to trade 100 tokens for 100 tokens of some other coin, there would be a 5% fee for that trade. Now, this 5% fee would be split, so 2.5% of that fee would be burnt, which would obviously shrink the supply. And we're hoping that, we understand that a shrinking supply and a stable demand leads to an increased price. The second 2.5% will go into the DAO's treasury to be spent on whatever people decide to spend it on, depending on which proposals get put forward and how the community votes. Now, this system does not work for everyone. So what we will be doing is whitelisting certain exchanges. So, for example, if you have a large amount that you want to trade and we have a deal with a certain exchange, you can then send your tokens to that exchange without incurring the 5% fee. And that exchange can send tokens to you without incurring the 5% fee. So you can go on that exchange and you can do the exchange for the tokens however you want. So you can trade in and trade out. This is basically for people who want to trade quickly, high frequency traders, day traders, things like that, so that they're not having to experience the 5% fee each time they trade. And we can still see large volumes. So whitelists for centralized exchanges should be a thing, but to get onto this whitelist, we should have a system of proposals. So if you have an exchange and you want to be whitelisted to trade CRDD, you'd have to put forward a proposal. Obviously, the community will see the proposal. The community will therefore or thereafter vote on the proposal. If it's an exchange the community wants the token listed on, then the whitelist will be granted. Otherwise, it will not. Doesn't stop the exchange from listing the token. It simply means that they won't be whitelisted and people have to pay the 5% fee when moving on to and off of the exchange. If this is a little bit too long-winded, we may create a sub-DAO which has the pure purpose of controlling the whitelist. That sub-DAO will have, 5 to 7 members of a business development team, for example, and they will be able to fast-track names onto the whitelist should they feel the particular names or the particular addresses, I should say, belong there. Of course, there should be some sort of system in place for a community veto. So if the sub-DAO that is controlling the whitelisting does something that the entire community doesn't like, then the entire community can veto that particular address. So that's the plan with the tokenomics. I hope that's clear. Peter, is there anything I've missed on that, or does that sound pretty clear? I just want it to be clear for regular users.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Brilliant. Okay, we can say that we've covered that. Okay, next topic on the list is the launch test procedures. So what we want to do is, I want to go over where to go if you want to help with the testing, potential rewards for testing, and which network we're going to use. So first of all, if you want to participate within testing, the best place to go to is the Discord. Come and join the Discord. We can speak for now in the general channel of the Discord. In time, if it does get busy enough, we will create a DAO testing channel specifically for testing. But testing will be pretty straightforward. Once you've come into the Discord, you can ask for a copy of the testing guidelines, or that will be probably sent to you in a PDF, unless we can be bothered to make a microsite, if we can bother to make a small website for it, but I think that might be overkill. So I might just send it to you over as a PDF. The testing will give you a list of tasks to do. What you'll have to do is do the tasks and then provide feedback on how you feel the tasks have gone. And also, you can also provide feedback on what tasks you feel should be added or should be removed. So it's your basic Q&A experience. So it should be open to everyone and easy for everyone. That testing documentation isn't ready yet, but we are expecting testing to start within the next 7 days. The things that's holding up the beginning of testing is that we don't actually have the contracts in place for the ERC20 with the new tokenomics with the 5% trading fees. So once we've got the tokenomics agreed for the 5% trading fee and we've got that actually built on a testnet, then the testing can start along with the testing guidelines. People can come to the Discord and ask for those testing documents. Any questions, or can I move on? If anybody has any questions, they can raise their hand.
None of questions. Move on.
Okay, right. Potential rewards for testing. This will have to be something that is organized retroactively, so it's not something I can say now, but I think there should be rewards for testing. I guess it would be something like an airdrop. We could either issue an NFT to people who have completed the testing. It'd be quite easy to see who's completed it, because obviously all of the tasks that they have completed will be on the network, on the test network. So we can send NFTs to those addresses either on the test network or on mainnet. Mainnet will be expensive because of Ethereum gas fees, so chances are we'll use testnet for that. Once people have got these NFTs, I guess in the future, if we wanted to tie them to an airdrop of the CRDD token, we could do that, and the people with the NFTs could then go and claim the airdrop. Or we could give the people who've done testing an NFT which grants them some kind of enhanced voting rights. So maybe they'll get a slightly higher weighted vote. I don't know, maybe like an extra 5% on the amount of tokens they've got in voting terms. So if they've got 100 tokens, they can vote as if they've got 105. Something like that we could do as potential rewards for testing. But I do want to have some sort of system for incentivizing testers to new products that we are launching on Ethereum in the future. I think that's pretty straightforward. Finally, which network are we going to use? I guess it goes almost without saying we will use the Goerli, I think it's pronounced, test network. I think it's Goerli. I think it's spelled, not entirely sure. But we're going to use the test network. The reason why is because it works with Aragon, and it works with all of Ethereum's newest features. It's the most up to date, and it should work with the new tokenomics that we want to employ. If that does change, I will tweet and add to the Discord the fact that we have decided to change the network that we're using for testing. But assume that we're going to use the Goerli network. So add that to your MetaMask as soon as possible, or your wallet of choice. Because for the testing phase, we will like if people could test using various wallets, be it MetaMask, Frame, or whichever wallets you are using. Finally, let's discuss the legal roadmap for Cryptosi DAO. So I'm following the most recent DAO Watch Fireside, where I spoke with Nathan Vandy about the legal setup of DAOs. He offered a lot of insight. Hopefully he's tuned in, one of the listeners. I'm not sure, I can't bother to look through the list. So hopefully we will see Nathan Vandy out of he's listening. The plan is, what we discussed on the call is that a DAO doesn't have to have a legal entity before its inception. So before we launch Cryptosi DAO, there's no real need to have a legal entity in any jurisdiction anywhere in the world. However, it does make sense as the DAO grows that we begin to become recognized in a certain jurisdiction, or perhaps multiple jurisdictions, as is necessary as we grow. I'm thinking, especially when we start to handle real world assets, imagine if the DAO takes ownership of some shares in an actual company or some kind of equity in actual property, then the DAO will need to have some kind of legal entity structure somewhere in the world. And we will look to set that up as and when we need it. So the plan we're going with is to launch the DAO as it is, only answerable to the blockchain initially, and after the genesis after the Genesis block or after the Genesis launch of the DAO, we will then be constantly monitoring to say what the legal roadmap is and giving updates once every, 6 to 12 months, somewhere between there. On places where to set up, there are various jurisdictions that are friendly to DAOs at the moment. I think the Marshall Islands are possibly the ones which I personally prefer. I know there are other people with other ideas. So when that does come to time to where we will set up the DAO, that will have to be something that goes through a vote. People will put forward their full proposal on what type of legal structure we should have, why we should have it, and possibly we'll have a Twitter Spaces to discuss that point in much more detail. Is that all clear? Is that fine, Peter? Did that come across as in language that everyone can understand?
Yep, seems all pretty straightforward.
Okay, brilliant.
I did want to ask.
Yep.
So, are we aware of how many jurisdictions are going to make it easy to implement a legal framework?
I can think off the top of my head of around 5. I know there is, most notably, there's the Marshall Islands. There is one in the US, Wyoming, which I'm not a massive fan of. Obviously, there's Malta, there's Gibraltar, which also have a good setup. And I believe there's one close to completion in Portugal, which is EU territory. So it has that strong point. I'm not sure what's happening in the United Kingdom. I don't think there is a DAO-specific regulation in the UK, but I think there is crypto-specific regulation, so we could shoehorn in there. But it is a rapidly developing landscape. So I think it will be something that we need to be on top of nearer to the time that we actually set up, because I think the landscape would have changed quite dramatically within the next 6 to 12 months. What we may also see is other DAOs that are similar to us, other venture DAOs setting up in certain jurisdictions, and we can take note of what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do, and how it helps or hinders them in their progress. So yeah, currently I would say there's about 5 that are really strong contenders, but time will tell within the next 6 to 12 months. That's a reasonable answer. Finally, timeline for these things, because the question always is when. And so I'm hoping for testing to start within the next 7 days on the Juno Network. The results of the testing, I guess we could make into NFTs. So the various testers, once they've completed their testing results and feedback, I guess we could make them into NFTs just to have a little collectible that people could go and mint for free. I think that might be good. And that's it for the roadmap. As I said before, I think we'll start with no legal setup in any jurisdiction, but we should revisit that potentially in 6 months. If anybody feels it should be revisited sooner, obviously they're free to put in a proposal as soon as the DAO launches. I guess they could even put one in on testnet if they want to. And yeah, testing should last for around 2 weeks. I don't think we really need to test for that long, and we really want to get this DAO launched on Ethereum now, as we are way behind where we would have liked to have been. So yeah, 7 days to start testing, 2 weeks for testing. After testing, we should launch on mainnet, providing we don't come across any really terrible problems within testing. I guess that's it for this short call. unless, Peter, there is anything you wish to discuss, or anyone else in the audience, if there's anything you wish to discuss, put your hand up now. Peter, is there anything else you wish to discuss on this call?
No, not at the moment, though.
Okay, excellent. All right, so that concludes this first Twitter Spaces. I will, of course, be posting this onto YouTube, and people will be able to view it there. Thank you for the attendance, for all those who attended. Thanks to all those who have attended in incognito mode as well. And Peter, thank you for attending and keeping everything satisfactory so that people can actually understand and we don't start talking in technical gobbledygook. So thank you for your time, Peter. And thank you to everyone for tuning in, and we will have another call in either 7 or 14 days, depending if there is enough topics for the next call. But the calls will always be at 10 a.m. on Fridays UK time, which is around 5 a.m. Eastern time. So if you're in America and you're interested, you've got to wake up early. I believe it's at around 2:30 in Indian time. So middle of the afternoon for you guys. Right. Thank you very much, and goodbye.